Let's make a tiny Christmas tree. For a list of supplies, visit the website or see the description below. Hey, it's Denise from loom and we're ready to begin. First thing you're going to do is get one strand of yarn and secure it to the anchor peg, and then go between the first and last peg, and we're going to zig-zag through every other peg until we're back at the front. You're going to go behind peg 1 and lay your yarn loosely over a few pegs. With your hook, you're going to knit off every peg that has 2 loops, and you'll notice that that's every other peg. When you knit off peg 24, which is going to be your last peg right here, you're done with your cast on and you're ready for row 1. For row 1 and 2, you're going to knit the rows. However, on row 1, peg 1 is a bit different. You see it has no loop right here, right? We went from peg 24, and when we go to row 1, we're going to lay the yarn loosely over 1 and 2 and knit off peg 2. Only for row 1. From this point on, for the rest of the project, you'll always knit peg 1. So we're going to knit the other 23 pegs that are left on row 1 using the Uwrap version of the knit stitch. Once we've knit all of the pegs and we're back at the front of the loom, for row 2, you're going to do the same thing. You're knitting all 24 pegs using the Uwrap version of the knit stitch. Don't forget to remove the knot from your anchor peg after a few rows. When you're done with your 2 rows of the knit stitch, you're ready for row 3 through 7, and you're going to be doing the purl stitch. So if you've never done it, let me show you. You're going to take your yarn and put it under the existing loop. With your hook, you're going to come from the top and scoop up your yarn and create a new loop. Take the old one off the peg and put the new loop on the peg and pull your yarn. Alright, let me show you on a light colored peg. Hopefully you can see better. You scoop up, you create a new loop. You take the old one off, you put the new one on, and you pull. Alright, that is the purl stitch, and you need to do a total of 5 rows of the purl stitch. So rows 3 through 7 are 5 rows of the purl stitch. Now, for rows 8 through 10, you're going to do the knit stitch again. This is a total of 3 rows of the knit stitch. And again, we're doing the Uwrap version. So all you have to do is half wrap and knit off and continue for 3 rows. After you're done with your knit stitches, you now will be decreasing before you start a row. So for row 11 through 14, which are 4 rows of purl, you're going to first decrease. So you're not going to peg 1. You're going to turn around because we're going to be knitting flat from now on, which means we're going to go back and forth instead of in the round. So you take off peg 24 and you move it over to peg 23. Tighten, and you're always going to be doing a knit stitch when you decrease. So knit off, and now on the next peg we're going to purl, and we're down 1 peg. So every time you're going to start a row, you're going to decrease by 1. So you'll end up with an empty peg like you just did with peg 24. So remember, you have 4 rows of the purl. When you get to peg 1, you're going to do the same thing. So here we are at the end of the row. You are going to knit you're going to purl all of your pegs, right? So your last peg is right here. It's peg 1 on this row. That's your last peg. You're going to go ahead and do that purl stitch to end that row, and now you're going to pick up that loop and put it over on peg 2 and tighten and knit off, because you're always doing that, and you have 2 less pegs already. And now you're turning around, right? There are your 2 empty pegs. You're turning around, and remember, you still need to do more rows of the purl stitch. Just remember that when you turn around, you're going to move the move the loop, and then so every time you're going to have 1 less, 1 less, 1 less. Just keep doing that, and you have 4 rows of the purl stitch to finish. When you're done with your 4 rows of purl, you should have 4 empty pegs. You're now ready for 3 rows of the knit stitch, and again we decrease first. So we're knitting flat, we're decreasing by 1, and now we're knitting 3 rows of the Uwrap knit stitch. And just like with the purl, you're going to be decreasing by 1 before you start a new row. Next, for rows 18 through 31, all you're going to do is repeat rows 11 through 17 2 more times. So 2 more times, you're going to do 4 rows of purls and 3 rows of knit. You're going to knit flat, and you're going to decrease 1. And then for rows 32 through 34, you're going to purl. So you should have 4 pegs left. If you don't panic, no big thing. You'll survive if you have 5, 6, or 3. It's better if you have at least 4, but if you have more, don't worry about it. What you're going to do at this point is you're going to purl 3 rows, whatever number of pegs you have. Now it's time for the cast off. So you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to wrap it around the whole loom. You can even go over a bit, get your scissors, cut the strand of yarn, and now you're going to, with your hook, from the top, feed the working yarn upward and out on whatever number of loops you still have left on your loom. In my case, I have 4, so I'm going to do that and then take the loops off of the peg, and now my project is off the loom and I need to stretch my stitches. This is important because it helps to shape the fabric. So just pull on it and that will stretch them out and give them the correct shape. And then you need to pull on your string just a little bit just to neaten things up, and so you get it the way you need it. And now we're going to close it up. It has a little tail, and that's a good thing because it helps the tree to stay up when you put it on the trunk. Then get a needle and thread the needle with the yarn. That's why you left a long tail. And you're going to start at the very tip. You need to round things off. So you're going to take your needle and go through those cast off loops and make a circle so it's nice and round. Then we need to bring the 2 sides together. So you're going to go from one side over, right? And then you're going to go down to a loop and then over. So you're not going over to over. Instead, your best bet is to go down a loop and then go over. And try to get whatever looks ugly to sort of end up inside. So you kind of pull your loops together, and you're gonna have to kind of round things off and bend the loops inward so that the ugly parts are inside of the fabric of the project instead of on the outside. Now the back is only going to look so good. It's not going to look as nice as the front, but it is your back, and so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Plus, if you're going to be adding, you know, if you're going to adorn your Christmas tree, you can hide these with ribbons or buttons or, you know, whatever you're going to add to your tree. So I wouldn't sweat it too bad. And it's not like it looks horrible. It just doesn't look as good as the front. Keep going all the way down the back of the tree. And you should have enough of a tail left over so that you can do this, so that you can make it all the way to the bottom. And if you want, you can make a knot inside the tree, outside. Leave it like that. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can if you want to. And once you've done that, you are basically done with this part of the tree. This bottom part you're going to attach to the trunk. So it's time to knit the trunk. Just like the tree with the trunk, we're going to do a drawstring cast on. So secure your yarn to the anchor peg, and then take your yarn and you're going to zigzag through every other peg until you're back at the front with your yarn, and you're going to go behind peg 1 and then lay the working yarn loosely over a few pegs like this. Then you're going to knit off every peg that has 2 loops. Once you finish knitting off peg 24, you're done with your cast on. You're ready for the next part, which is rows 1 through 13, where you will knit the row. Don't forget to skip peg 1 on row 1 only, and then continue. You need to do your 13 rows of the Uwrap knit stitch, and don't forget to take the yarn off the anchor peg after a few rows. Alright, then we're off to row 14, which is a single row of the purl stitch, and you guys remember how to do the purl stitch, right? From the top, scoop up, create a new loop, take the old one off, put the new one on, and pull. Only one row. So once you're done with that one row of the purl stitch, which allows your tree to stand upright, you're almost finished. All you have to do after that is you're going to do 2 rows of the knit stitch, which are rows 15 and 16. And you already know how to knit these 2 rows. So let me tell you what's next, which is going to be your cast off, and it's the flat drawstring cast off, which I hacked. Take the working yarn and you're going to wrap it around your loom 2 times completely. And if you feel a little generous, you can go a little bit over. Get your scissors, cut that working yarn, and now you're going to take that yarn strand, and from the top you're going to scoop it up and feed it through, and the next peg you're going to go behind it. Scoop up, feed it through, go behind the next one. So every other peg you're going to feed the working yarn through that peg, and the one next to it you're going to take the yarn and put it behind that peg. So right now you're focused on every other peg. Once you reach peg 23, then you can start taking the loops off of the loom. Only the ones that have the thread through them. The other ones will stay on your loom. They're next. But before you do that, you want to get your scissors, and we're going to first pull on this working yarn so we can get as much of it as we can. In fact, you can pull on the loops a little bit and then leave about a little less than an inch. Secure that other strand to your anchor peg, and then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to feed it from the top up, go behind the next one from the top up, and again you're doing every other loop because really that's what's left on your loom right now. And you're going to do that through all of these 12 pegs, which is what should still be left on your loom. And once you're finished with that, just like before, the remaining loops on your loom, you're then going to take them off. If for some reason you don't have enough left at the end, like here I have enough, but say you cut it too short and you don't, just pull some of the loops off the loom and pull on your string, and it should give you like more. Okay, in this case I had enough string that was long enough to get through my 12 pegs. I'm done, and now I'm removing the loops off of the peg, and that part is done. Now for your fabric, you need to stretch those stitches. As always, this is the only way your fabric will take the form you need. On the top you have 3 strings. Try to pull on them all just a little bit and then focus on the one that's in the middle. It's the first one that you did, and it has a string on its own. So you're going to try to focus on closing that hole completely as best as possible, and then you're going to pull on the string for the outer. And you see that I'm doing this on the inside of the fabric, so that on the other side you just see the opening. Just keep pulling on it really well. Pull on it really tight, and once you feel that it's closed, then you can go ahead and make a knot. I make 2 knots just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. It's just a head thing. Alright, then cut off all of those excess pieces of yarn, or you can leave them in, it doesn't matter, it becomes stuffing. And then just close up the cast on just enough to kind of neaten things up and get you started, but you're not going to close it yet because you need to put a little stuffing inside. So you can either use your leftover yarn, or you can use polyfill like I'm doing right here. But if you have like old pieces of yarn, this is a good time to use it. One, because that other yarn will be darker than the polyfill, so it's always a good thing. You don't have to overfill it. A little bit will do. And then you thread your needle, and you're going to start closing this completely and securing it by sewing in a circle. And as you can see, I'm kind of closing this up even more. Right, and I do that by only going through the top loops, and I do this in a circle. When I'm done, I then when I feel like it's close enough, then I go ahead and I make a knot. And you can do that if you want to or not. In this case, it's not that important because this will be inside of the tree. Cut off your excess yarn. I like to do this only because I like to put it aside and save it for another project. You can always use yarn, and make as many as you need to cover all of the trees that you're going to be making. Try to shape it into form before you attach your tree, and of course assembly is required. Get your 2 parts and your stuffing. I'm going to be using some leftover yarn clippings, which is actually way better than polyfill. It's free and it's a dark colored tone, so it just works better, and you don't need very much. A little bit will go a long way. You're also going to need a yarn needle at this point, and we're going to want to go ahead and weave in that leftover yarn right here. You could use a crochet hook as well, just to feed the yarn in so that it's on the inside, and you can cut it or not. You could just use it as part of the other stuffing. What we're going to use to attach the top to the trunk is the cast on thread. So thread your needle, and then we're going to simply sew these 2 parts together no biggie, and don't worry about how it looks because it sort of flaps. There's a flap that'll go over that section, and so it's not going to show. So whether it looks pretty or ugly, you don't have to worry about it. And then feed it through, pull on it, and cut that extra yarn off, and you're done. That's it. That's basically your tree. Now all you have to do is decorate it any way you like. In my case, I'm using this hot glue gun. It's a low temperature hot glue gun, so it's not going to do anything to my yarn, even though my yarn is acrylic. Alright, so you guys decide how you want to make your tree look Christmassy. This is what I did. Hope you guys like it. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and share this video. That helps me a lot. Bye!